AITA for reorganizing my library while pregnant and telling my in-laws my husband wouldn't help me. I've recently had an almost obsessive urge to reorganize everything in my home. My library is one of the places I felt needed to be changed ASAP, so I asked my husband multiple times if he would help me, as my shelves are pretty high up and I have a lot of books that are heavy to move. He kept telling me he would help me later as he was busy. It felt like later was never coming, so I finally decided to just do it myself while my husband was working. My in-laws came to visit us and they walked in on me grabbing books from the higher shelves. They thought what I was doing was dangerous and that I could have fallen. My husband also freaked out and kept telling me to get down and saying I shouldn't be carrying heavy things. My father-in-law asked me why I hadn't asked somebody else to move my books for me, and I told him I did ask my husband, but he wouldn't help me. He did try to correct them that he said he would help me later, but his parents told him off for not doing it for me. He thinks I made him look bad to his parents and is upset that I didn't correct them, and because I didn't wait for him to reorganize my library. We keep arguing because I told him that he didn't help and that I didn't want his help anymore and I would finish the library myself. AITA? Oh man. No one's the asshole. Not really. As someone who has birthed 3 out of 4 of my hobbits, I feel you. Especially with my first. I suddenly felt like certain things around the house just weren't right, and desperately wanted to change them, including redecorating 4 rooms of our house. My other half, like yours, kept saying he'll do it later. Later came when I gave up and started doing it myself. My mother turned up, took the paintbrush off me, and her and other half finished it all up. See no evil. Point is, to me, this was really important. To him, he was going to work, doing usual household stuff, and stressing about bringing a child into the world and providing for all of us as a family. The little downtime he did have was usually sleeping or finding me obscure snacks. To him, the place really didn't need decorating, and he didn't put it in the same place on his priority list as I did mine, not because he didn't care, but because perception is reality. To him, redecorating didn't help us, and was a waste of precious time. It was never about him not caring or not being arsed. But to me, it was important, and I felt like he didn't care about me or what was about to be our family home. My point is, wires get crossed so easily when expecting a potato with limbs. And even more in those first 6 months. Trust me, I wanted to slaughter my husband when our now 4-year-old was born just for breathing wrong. Be kind to yourself and each other. I would show him this thread if it helps. Or if needed, sit down and say it was really important to me. But I realize it wasn't for you. My intention wasn't to make you look bad. I was feeling frustrated and that poured over. If I tell you when something is a big deal to me next time, can you go on to help me with it as best you can? Good luck with everything. It's going to be great. Take the epidural if you want it. It won't harm the baby. If you can't breastfeed, don't struggle and make yourself miserable. Formula, unless we're talking Nestle, has never made a baby grow 2 heads yet. Take advice with a pinch of salt and ignore anyone make you feel guilty. Moms with several kids will probably have the best AdVD for keeping your sanity. If that involves cake for breakfast and a liter of coffee, that's okay. A happy mom makes a happy baby. Your suffering will not make your baby smarter, happier, or healthier. A happy mom usually makes a happy dad, other mom. 2. You've got this. All the love in the world, lovely ex. Nesting is the craziest thing about being pregnant. Info. Was your husband actually consistently busy, and how long did you wait before you just did it yourself? YTA. From your comments, it sounds like you admit your husband was in fact busy. and just feel like he should have reprioritized to help you with the library. But it wasn't actually urgent. It was only urgent to you. If you were tired of waiting and wanted to do it yourself, that's fine. But going around and telling his parents it's because he refused to help you was an move. Despite what the general populace seems to think, pregnant women are not invalids, and if you paced yourself and were careful, you were likely completely fine doing the work yourself. I was going to go with NaH. Until you told his parents that he wouldn't help you. Not that you wanted it done now and he wouldn't help you right away. You're not tough for wanting it done. He's not tough for not doing it right away. 2 weeks for a non-urgent task doesn't sound like long to me. But YTA for the way it was described to his parents. As a refusal, rather than a delay. NTA, after 2 weeks he didn't help you, so you just did it yourself and stated why. NTA, it was 2 weeks. This reminds me of the "I'll do it after this" game. Excuse guys say and never do it until we finally say never mind and do it ourselves. If he didn't want to look bad in front of his parents and done it when you asked. Oh, I totally understand this. When I was pregnant, my back was killing me. Only comfortable position was on all fours. While I was down there I noticed the wooden floor could do with a revarnish. Guess what I did? Unhappy hubby. But lovely dining room floor LMAO. Pregnancy, the gift that just keeps giving. Snorts. NTA. You're pregnant. You're nesting. And TBH, after 2 weeks of asking I would have given up and done it myself too. You can tell who's given birth to a baby versus who hasn't in these comments. NTA, when you handle all the mental load and are nesting, things that are important to you are important. If you knew your husband would pick up the slack, then you wouldn't stress so much. I'm currently 30 weeks pregnant and was asking my husband to help sort out our son's new room as we needed to decorate and transition our toddler into a bed before his baby sister arrives. And we needed him to be settled and not feel replaced. I asked my husband for a month to help me and it was always ill help, but later I ended up doing it mostly by myself. He came up to me moving heavy furniture and was like, if you asked for help I would have done it. I reminded him I'd been asking for help for over a month. Anyways, son's room is done now and he's been settled in it for a few weeks. I'm currently working on baby girl's room and the same problems have arisen. Doesn't matter if it's a bedroom, a library, kitchen or a car. If something needs to be done before baby gets here, then it needs to be done, otherwise you'll probably be waiting for 23 years to get it done. Moving books around isn't dangerous unless you've been advised to avoid strenuous activity. This whole argument is dumb. I have felt that way a number of times. I've asked family to help. They say yes, sure, but can't seem to find a date on their calendar. So I take matters into my own hands and do it myself or pay someone to help me. I find out that I can't depend on them for future reference. This is called nesting. I did the same thing right before my daughter was born. I was cleaning closets and cupboards, etc. NTA. Not sure what's going on with all the as. But no, not at all. Husband put you off for 2 weeks. He had no desire or intention to help and was hoping that pregnancy brain would mean you moved into something else before it became a thing. Ignore everyone calling you an asshole for saying he refused to help you. 2 weeks of later, I promise, is 100% a refusal to help, even if that wasn't his intent. It doesn't matter what the request is or whether the asker is at any significant risk or not. 2 weeks is too long a wait. And it sounds like his parents agree, because even after he explained, They were still mad at him because he couldn't be bothered to spend an hour or two, even if it was over the course of multiple days, to help his wife. NTA. Let this be a lesson to him that later is not a promise and shouldn't be treated as such. No one is going to wait indefinitely for later to arrive, especially when there's a deadline in the form of a birth date. NTA. People saying you lied to his parents by saying he wouldn't help when he said he would and you just didn't wait long enough or completely out of their minds. If I repeatedly ask my husband to do something and every single time he says yeah I will but not right now, then proceeds to not do the thing I asked, continue to put off the thing I asked for and not even attempt to set a timeline for the task I asked for, it does in fact mean he wouldn't help. Saying you will do something means nothing after a certain stretch of time and a certain number of times being asked, and that limit is up to the person doing the asking. He said he would do it, then repeatedly failed to follow through on either doing it or setting a concrete deadline so she could know when it would get done. He made no effort to assist her with the task, regardless of how important he thought it was or wasn't. It was something he said he would do and then put no effort into doing. She was well within her rights to give up on him and do it herself and then make the very true statement that he would not help her. YTA. Moving the items was not something that needed done immediately. No matter what your obsessive urge told you. Just because you can't control yourself and wait doesn't mean you get to badmouth your husband for not dropping everything on something so minor. You need to apologize. NTA. Nesting is a strong mental drive and can take precedence over everything else. While it can be weaker for some, it can be maddeningly strong and irritating for others to not have their space, just so. When some people think of pregnancy not being an excuse, they think of things like emotional outbursts or cravings, which can certainly be mitigated. Nesting when indulged is something that can cause stress and anxiety over time. In this a period of 2 weeks, which is incredibly bad for the baby. Maybe you could have said your husband said he would do it but kept putting it off to his parents. But he likely would have gotten scolded anyway. Besides, he definitely could have reorganized things with you at some point in those 2 weeks. Ultimately, he is in fact an asshole. How long did you wait before doing it yourself?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.